every single cell in your body. You're going to feel good for it. So fiber should always dominate your plate. That's the dominant piece of the puzzle. So your fiber, your protein is at least a palm-sized amount. You can go bigger. Your fiber is at least half of the plate. Doesn't matter what size the plate is. If my bowl was bigger, smaller, whatever size your plates are, it's about the ratio of the things working together. You want, when it goes into your body, for the fiber to be the dominant source, right? And mix up as many colours, as much variety as possible. You could go with more than this. This is just what I've picked out of the fridge randomly. You could get some leaves in here. You could have more fruits, more veggies. The more the merrier. And the more colour and the variety, the better, because of course they do different things, right? The tomatoes are going to give me different benefits than the apple. The apple's going to give me different benefits than the tomatoes. They've got different properties in, and our bodies don't just need, like, say, vitamin C or vitamin D. They need a whole wide variety, right? So as much as you can possibly get, pack that in. And then the third piece of the puzzle is healthy fat. Healthy fat in this context is the 2 egg yolks. So your healthy fats are essential for healthy, happy hormones. We've all got hormones, so regardless of whether we know of a hormonal imbalance, we still need healthy fats. Okay, healthy fats are things like your egg yolks, avocado, olive oil, avocado oil, nuts, seeds, nut butter, oily fishes. These are your healthy fats. They're packed full of polyphenols. They're great for your skin. They're great for your brain. We need them, but we don't want to overdo it if we're trying to burn body fat. And this is where the discrepancy comes in with eating healthy and eating for fat loss, right? So I'll give you a classic example of something I used to do. But first, let me tell you, healthy fats are 3 times. That's why the ratio needs to be different, and we need to be aware of it, because it's really, really easy to overconsume. Let me give you an example. This is not an ad, it's not sponsored. It could be any brand, any bottle of extra virgin olive oil. They're all pretty much the same. This bottle here is 500 ml. Imagine up to here is about 100 ml, right? I would say 100 ml is 822 calories. That's a huge amount of calories for a small amount. If you think, if you were using it on 3 meals a day, you're at home probably, because it's, you know, most of us are off work at the moment. It's, if you imagine, you could easily use that across 3 meals in a day. That's on top of everything else you're consuming. So it's really easy to go over your calories. And of course, if you do that, you are of course gaining weight over time, right? So it's really important to be aware that your healthy fats on your plate are there. We need them, but a thumb-sized amount. So I've got 2 egg yolks. 1 would be enough, right? Obviously, I've lost the weight. It's slightly different. I can be a bit more liberal, but I don't actually need more than that. Anywhere near more than a yolk. I've got 2. Okay, no problem though, because we've outweighed it with the protein and the fiber. There's way more of those things, so it's okay. We're on balance. Okay, but your healthy fats are essential for healthy, happy hormones. We just don't want to overdo it. Okay, we want enough, but not too much. Let me give you the example of what I was doing, right? So when I was eating healthy, exercising, the weight wasn't coming off, right? I would have typically some form of eggs on toast for breakfast every day. Not unhealthy, right? It's not unhealthy, but it wasn't conducive to fat loss. I'll give you a couple of examples. So let's say I was just having standard eggs on toast, right? 2 eggs, 2 slices of toast. Now, when I'm doing that, what's happening is the 2 slices of toast, they're spiking my insulin levels, I'm pressing pause on fat burning. The 2 eggs are giving me some protein, but the fat is equal to the protein, so it's out of balance, okay? And I've got no fiber from fruits and vegetables in there. So it's way out, the balance is off. So what's happening in my body is not what I want to be happening in there, right? Even though it's not unhealthy, okay? Another example would be having eggs on toast, so eggs on sourdough, 2 poached eggs, smoked salmon, avocado. Nice and healthy. My skin's gonna be amazing, it's great for my brain health, all the things. However, that is dominated by healthy fats. There's way more healthy fat on that dish than there is protein and fiber, right? So even though there's some protein in there and there's some fiber in there, the dominant force is the healthy fat. So you have to tip the balance, okay? Because with that balance, like, the fat is gonna be doing all the work in my body. The protein can't do what it needs to do, the fiber can't do what it needs to do. So let's say I was gonna have some form of bread. I'm gonna have sourdough, and I'm not gonna have that more than 3 times a week. I'm not gonna have it every single day. I'm not gonna have starchy carbs 3 times a day like I was doing, right? Because then I'm pressing pause on fat burning the whole time, right? So, and also I'm adding to existing fat storage. So let's say I'm having sourdough and it's one of my 3 times a week. I'm having sourdough, I'm going to have 2 eggs, but instead of the full egg, I'm going to have 2 egg whites, 1 egg yolk, right? So I've upped the protein and lowered the healthy fat. I'm going to have some avocado, but instead of having a half a avocado, full avocado, smashing it all over the place, I'm going to have like a 1/4 of an avocado, okay? And then I'm going to have some smoked salmon. That's fine, it's got protein and some healthy fat. But then what I'm going to do is really tip the balance by having a ton of fiber with it, right? I'm going to have some spinach, some tomatoes, maybe some mushrooms. So the dominant feature is the fiber. There's more protein than there is healthy fat, and I'm still kind of having a dish that I enjoy, right? And if you'll notice, there's a lot more food on there too, right? So that's an example of eating healthy and eating for fat loss, right? There are 2 different things. So protein, fiber, healthy fats, low GI. I'm going to answer your questions in a second.